Hey everybody, it is the 11th of September 2015 to use Nintendo's official terminology. And yesterday, Pokemon Go was announced by, I guess, Game Freak slash the Pokemon Company slash Nintendo slash Niantic. And pretty much this is the best news I could have possibly woken up to in regards to the world of video games and Pokemon and such. Um, Anyone who clicks this video, I'm sure, ought to know by now what Pokemon Go is. But basically, they're using a they're making a smartphone game where it uses GPS positioning and map data to allow you to play a game where Pokemon appear based upon your real life location. And it tells you, a Pokemon is in this direction or that direction, and you go out there and catch it in the game. It's theoretically it's augmented reality. I don't know if they've actually called it that. People are inferring it to be some sort of augmented reality based on the stuff in the trailer. We didn't see much gameplay in the trailer, but we saw a lot of concept stuff of people seeing Pokemon appear in our world and fighting in our world. And I don't know if that. I'm not entirely sure if it's presumed to be augmented reality in the style of, say, AR games, the Nintendo 3DS, or Face Raiders, where through the device screen you see digital creatures superimposed onto the real life environment. The few photos we've seen seem to be more along the lines of that on your phone screen you'll see an environment, sort of a backdrop based upon where you're at, like where if you're in the park you might see a woodland environment, but if you're in the city, you might see like a street scene kind of backdrop, similar to the backdrops in the battle scenes in the Pokemon X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games for 3DS. Really, I woke up to this, and really all the excitement around it basically totally derailed the day I planned on having. And I don't mind that at all. It's certainly awesome news, and basically this is a idea I've had, and I know it's an idea a lot of people have had since devices first started having GPS in them. This is something I really never thought would really happen the way they're doing it. And it's a partnership between Game Freak, Niantic, which it was a Google startup that made a game called Ingress, which I have heard of, and it was an interesting game, sort of where certain monuments and landmarks in a environment would serve as portals, and players would fight for control of those portals. They're working on this. The Game Freak's working on this. Nintendo's helping. According to the press conference, Satoru Iwata was heavily involved before he passed away. And this is something I'm really excited about. It's coming out next year, and this is really. I know. I've seen some people offended that it's for smartphones, but Junichi Masuda said that this would link into future mainline Pokemon games. So perhaps a future Pokemon game for the Nintendo 3DS or for the 3DS's successor. What would be really great is being able to import the Pokemon you catch, so you can say, "Oh, I found this Pokemon. I caught this Pokemon while I was visiting Paris," or "I got this Pokemon in Central Park," and you might give it a nickname based on where you caught. When I'm out in some place and I catch a Pokemon, sometimes I'll give it a nickname. When I'm playing on my DS or 3DS, based on where I caught it, I'll give it a nickname based on where I caught it. Now, perhaps when you're on your stat screen, when it says caught here and there, perhaps if it's a Pokemon, if there's a way to import Pokemon from Pokemon Go, it'll say a geotag or a loose location of, oh, you caught this Pokemon in Central Park, for instance. I'd say that just because I go to New York City a lot. Or if you could go to some place, like I went to the Bluebell Railway in England last May, and it would be so awesome if I could have been catching Pokemon. Oh, I caught this Pokemon on the Bluebell Railway and so forth. Really, this is a good percentage of what Pokemon is about to me, because Pokemon, like back when it first came out, it was about getting players outside their houses, getting people networking together to trade Pokemon and battle together and complete their Pokedexes, which is why they had originally, that's why there were multiple versions of the game, not to get one person to buy multiple copies, but to get people, other players, to meet up with people, just to get you out the spirit of Pokemon, what it is. It's you're someone having this optimistic, adventure and the surround area surrounding your home. That's really what Pokemon is about. And I don't know. I guess I've seen Pokemon inspire some people to get into geocaching, which is basically a big sort of treasure hunt game played out in the real world using GPS coordinates and handheld GPS devices. I've seen Pokemon sort of inspire people to start going hiking and go to parks and stuff and go geocaching, and this is something what you're seeing, the background footage of this video is stuff from a video series I made called Real Univa. I started this in 2011. There's still actually, I have footage for episodes I still want to film, but what it was that I was going to some of the places that Junichi Masuda visited New York personally, and there are different locations he went to that inspired different aspects of the Unova region, and I went to a lot of those places I knew personally. Like, oh, I know that place, and it's not a place that some of these places aren't places that a lot of people who know about Pokemon or know about that Unova is based on New York might not even realize that some of this stuff in the game is based on things in real life. And I wanted to get people interested in the real life history and hopefully get people more interested in their own towns and their own cities and their own places that they might be within commuting distance of, and get them out and having real adventures. Like, I love Pokemon, I love video games, but like Pokemon in particular has a special place in my heart because it is about you're this character just going on an adventure in the area around your house. Pretty much is what these games ultimately are about, and I mean, I love doing that since before Pokemon, and that's I think why it clicked so much with me, and that's why I like reading stories. That's why I wanted to do the video series I did, because I just wanted to inspire people to have adventures out in the real world. In addition, and I don't know. I'm just repeating myself at this point, but it's really awesome to think that next year when this comes out, that now I can go to some of these places where I personally liked going even before Pokemon Black and White, and now there's a special connection there because some of these places were featured in the games, and go out there and actually catch Pokemon in, say, Dumbo, Brooklyn, which was the inspiration for Nacrene City, or go out catching Pokemon in Lower Manhattan and Battery Park and South Street, which are the inspiration for Castelia City, and so forth. And all the other places I go that have nothing to do with Pokemon, just the parks and neighborhoods that I like to explore, in my everyday, life. So I hope that this inspires people to have a lot of interesting adventures and have. I don't want to repeat myself and stammer too much. I'm not reading off a script or anything. Now, to get back into the news of this device, of the Pokemon Go itself, there's also going to be a device that comes along with this. It's a completely optional device. They're calling the Pokemon Go Plus. And what it looks like pretty much is like a Google pin, like when you drop a pin in a map. It's sort of one of those stylized pins, but it's made to look like a Pokeball. And it could be worn on your wrist like a watch, or it could be pinned to your clothing or your belt like the Poké Walker accessory for Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver on the Nintendo DS. And what I like about this is that this device will let you basically play the game or perform certain functions in the game without having to take out your cell phone to do them. For instance, it'll vibrate when a Pokemon is nearby, and then I guess once you're queued, you could check your phone and see, what direction to go in or whatever. And what they said specifically was they didn't want people walking around staring at their phones, which, as I'm a pretty wired guy, I'm a pretty high-tech guy, but the way people walk around distracted by their devices, like completely immersed in their phones, is kind of irritating, and it can be kind of dangerous sometimes. So I'm glad they made this device. Now, I have to question, the main thing this thing does is vibrate. When a Pokemon is detected in the app, it links to your smartphone. The device, the Go Plus, links to your smartphone, and it vibrates when as you're traveling, a Pokemon begins to appear in Pokemon Go. Why they couldn't have just made your phone vibrate? Now, on one hand, I understand that, like, yeah, they obviously they want to sell you some stuff, since this is presumably going to be free to play, and then they somehow sell you additional stuff within the app. Hopefully, they don't go too overboard with that. Hopefully they perhaps sell packages of data, and not just like nickel and dime you for throughout your playing experience. But anyway, the Go Plus device, and it also has a button that can be pressed. It vibrates and it lights up, and it lights up several different colors from what I've seen, and perhaps those indicate the different things that may be happening within the game. And while they could just make it vibrate, the fact that the light shows different colors and it vibrates, so I guess you could perform unique actions without having to touch your phone at all, rather than simply being alerted. And really, what I think they're going after is, I remember when Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out, you saw everybody. Well, not you saw lots of people out there with Poké Walkers, and I've hooked on the pockets of their hooded sweatshirts, on the brim of their hat, on their belts, on their backpacks, and mind you, I don't think I've seen a single back when Heart Gold and Soul Silver were current. I don't think I saw a single kid with these. These were all 18 and up, gamers who had these things, and it kind of became sort of a nerd chic fashion accessory, so to speak, for a while. And you could tell who was a hardcore Pokemon player, and they're really. I know I've seen people like I guess say like, oh, I'd never wear that in public, but like when Heart Gold and Soul Silver are out, I've seen tons of the Poke Walkers out on the street, and especially these days. I mean, I see like people with children, and the parents are wearing shirts of Transformers, Sesame Street, Mister Rogers' Neighborhood, all these different cartoons and kids stuff. So I really don't think that's going to be big of a deal. I know I'm definitely getting a Go Plus. I'm going to be I'm the biggest. I'm going to be the. I hope this doesn't suck. I hope they get this right. That the gameplay is fun and it's the most awesome experience they can make it. Because I like going out on adventures just to go out on adventures and see new things and experience new things, and to have this on top of it like that. I'm just so blown away that they're actually doing this. Um, and so heck yeah, I'm getting a Go Plus. Heck yeah, I'm wearing it. And on my my I guess my sometimes I wear hooded sweatshirts. So I guess I could put it on the clip of there or on my belt or wherever or on my wrist. Well, I usually wear a watch on my left wrist. Oh, another thing I heard that the Go Plus can do is supposedly that you can mime the action of throwing a Pokeball if you wear it on your wrist. Like that's not something I would do. That's sort of like something that would be amusing, perhaps in the pre Wii era, but I think that's a bit gratuitous, and so I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not going to go that far with it. But I know in the press conference they actually said that they made this device with role playing in mind. They actually used the word role playing, so they know that people are going to go out and take this kind of seriously. Um, that's pretty much all I have to. I have a lot more to say. Perhaps it would probably be better in writing. I'd want to do more site features and web pages on supertrainstationh.com. And if you check out my blog at supertrainstationh.tumblr.com, you can see some of the posts I made. It's funny. I got when this got announced, if you look at my page, you have this sort of interspersement of all this Pokemon stuff and all these things of all these little adventures and trips that I've gone on just for the sake of getting the experiences. So to see these two things sort of come together in a way that could perhaps get some people, to go out and have some adventures and see things and do things that they otherwise might not have, is really exciting. And what excites me the most is the prospect of this linking up with with future Pokemon games. They said in the conference that this would link up with a future Pokemon game to come in 2016. They didn't specify on what that would be. Presumably some sort of main series game, whether that be a sequel to X and Y in the vein of Black 2 and White 2, or a remaster like Pokemon Platinum, or something completely different. We'll see, because Pokemon's 20th anniversary is in 2016. And I really think that Pokemon Go is a great thing to have as part of that 20th anniversary celebration throughout the year. and hopefully a new project that will link with it for 3DS, something more of a traditional Pokemon game, will be part of that 20th anniversary celebration as well. So that's my initial thoughts on the Pokemon Go announcement, and thank you very much for watching.